Hi guys! Welcome sa Zip9. In this video ay itutuloy natin yung series natin on quadratic equations. And alam natin na ang general form ng quadratic equation ay ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is not equal to 0. Again, yung reason kung bakit hindi pwede maging 0 yung a, kasi pag naging 0 yan, mawawala yung term na may x squared, kaya magiging linear linear equation na siya. Hindi na siya quadratic equation. Secondly, ay natuto na tayong mag-solve ng equations o quadratic equations by extracting the square root. So, pwede na natin yan i-solve. No? And napag-aralan na rin natin kung paano mag-solve ng ganitong klase ng equation. Now, this one is a special equation dahil usually hindi yan masyadong dinidiscuss sa mga libro. Pero kaya ko siya diniscuss kasi related siya sa extracting the square root. And related din siya doon sa lessons natin after ng factoring. No? After nito, itong video na to, pumunta tayo sa factoring. Tapos after that, completing the square. So related siya sa completing the square at related din siya sa extracting the square root. Alright, so ang hindi pa natin napag-aaralan yung mga ganitong klase ng quadratic equations, tsaka yung mga ganito. Now, pag nagsosolve tayo ng equations, no, we want to find the value of the unknown that makes the equation true. No? So dito, we have quadratic equations. Ibig sabihin, dalawa yung values ng x. No? And since lahat sila, no, lahat ng equations natin ay nasa general form. Ibig sabihin ng general form, nandito lahat ng mga non-zero terms niya nasa isang side. And yung kabilang side niya, the opposite side is 0. So, ibig sabihin, pag nakaganito yung equation natin, we want to find the values of x that make the left-hand side 0. So, kailan magiging 0 to? Pag ang x ay? Pag ang x ay 0. Okay? Kasi pag 0, ang x magiging 0 times 0 minus 7 to. Which is equal to 0 times negative 7, which is equal to 0. Isa yun, isang value yun that will make the expression 0. Pag ang x mo ay 7, so magiging 7 yan, magiging 7 minus 7 ito, magiging 0 din ito. No? So, ibig sabihin, 7 times 0, magiging 0 din siya. So, the values of x that will make this equation 0 are 0 and negative 7. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Magiging 0 lang ang value nito if one of them, if this is 0 or this is 0. Which means na magiging 0 lang ang x times x minus 7 if x is equal to 0 or x minus 7 is equal to 0. So, inequate natin yung factors sa 0. No? So, this is x equals 0 or x equals 7. Kung gusto nyo ilagay sa set notation, pwede nyo isulat yan. No? Now, for the second equation, we have x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. So, kung hindi nyo pa napag-aralan yung factoring, dapat aralin nyo na kasi bago kayo mag-aral ng quadratic equations, dapat alam nyo na yung factoring, dapat na-aral nyo na. So, if we factor this, no, magiging x minus 2 times x minus 3 is equal to 0. At magiging 0 lang yan if this is 0 or this is 0. Meaning, x minus 2 is equal to 0 or x minus 3 is equal to 0. Solving the equation, we have x equals 2. Or x equals 3. Okay, so pag 2 yung x mo, 2 minus 2 ito, 2 minus 1 ito, 2 minus 3, this is 0 and this is negative 1, no? So, 0 na yon. May natin kulay. Pag ang x natin ay 2, this is 0, this is negative 1, so 0 times negative 1 is 0. If x is equal to 3, this is 3 minus 3, so 0 yan. This is 0 and this is 1. So 0 times 1 is 0. Ano ibig sabihin nun? What does it mean? Ibig sabihin, para ma-solve natin yung values ng x sa quadratic equation, una, gawin muna natin siyang general form. Pangalawa, we factor. So, dapat aralin niyo yung factoring. Ang pangatlo, equate both factors to 0 and find the values of x. Or kung ano man yung letter na ginagamit, no? Kasi hindi naman palaging x. No? So, again, gawin yung general form yung equation. So, general form. Tapos, factor. And number 3, equate the factors to 0 and solve for x. Or kung ano mang variable na gamit. Ano mang unknown yung gamit. Okay, so yan lang. Of course, kung kaya nyong isolve ng extracting the square root, hindi nyo na kailangan mag-factor. No? Pero kung hindi kaya, pwedeng i-factor tapos sundin nyo itong steps na to. Okay, so sa mga susunod na videos ay we will have some examples on how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. Again, ang prerequisite knowledge nito ay factoring. No? Hindi kayo pwedeng mag-proceed dito sa susunod na video kung hindi ka rin marunong mag-factor. Baka hindi nyo rin maintindihan. Okay, so aralin nyo yung series natin on factoring. Lagay ko yung link sa baba. I'll see you in the next video.